Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Matangi and I'm the co-founder of Shikshanjali, an organization working in the area of socio-emotional learning. This video is part of a series called Well-being During Corona, where we talk about mental and emotional fitness during these tough times. Yes, you heard me right. Just like we exercise to remain physically fit, we must regulate our emotions and manage our mind for our overall well-being. Let's get started then. Hi, Vritti. Thank you so much for joining us here today. It's a pleasure to have you here. For our audience, I'd just like to quickly introduce you. Um, Vritti is basically a development sector person. She has been in the sector for a decade and she works with children and families very closely. And her core area of work is helping children express themselves, their thoughts, their feelings through art. And she has been so amazing with her work. She has represented India at such a huge platform like Harvard, where she went and talked about how we can integrate play into a child's life and give them platform to express themselves. So we are very grateful, Vritti, that you're here with us today, and welcome to our video series.
Thank you, Matangi. It's great to be here and have a conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. So, Vritti, the conversation that I want to have with you today is obviously, since the series is around well-being during Corona, it's going to revolve around that. But I'm going to talk about a target group which we don't talk about a lot. Like a lot of us go on social media and talk about how this lockdown or how this whole pandemic has affected us, has affected our daily lives, our routines, how working from home is a challenge, how being limited to a house is a challenge, our routines have been disrupted. But what we don't talk about is how are the children taking it? I mean, their routines have also been affected. Their, life has also been affected. They are unable to go to school. They are unable to see their friends. There's no outdoor playing anymore. And they have to stay limited to indoors the entire day. How can it possibly affect them emotionally, mentally, and otherwise as well?
Yeah, so actually, it's a very pertinent question. We adults, since we have mechanisms to express ourselves, we are taking to social media, coming across and talking about certain things. But children, primarily, even the ones who are below adolescence, they don't know what to do, how to express themselves. They are sometimes struggling because their routine has changed. So, as even if you're an adult or a child, a routine is very, very important. Obviously, there's an increase in anxiety which happens among children, and there is also this current data that's come out. Smriti Irani, in one of her addresses towards the country, also talked about it, that 1098, which is the child helpline number for India, has seen a 50% increase in calls. So
Hmm.
children or adults are reaching out for children's issues because they've increased just during this lockdown period, and 30% of them have been increased due to protection or abuse issues, right?
Hmm.
So obviously there's something that's happening around children that we are not being cognizant about. And
Yeah.
since emotional management is a very key component, it is very important that we make sure that those spaces are created where the child doesn't just talk about when they're happy, but
Hmm.
specifically when they're so anxious during this period. Even a feeling like sadness needs to come out. And a
Yeah.
beautiful movie that has captured this is Inside Out. So I,
Hmm.
if you really want to see how things work, Inside Out would be a beautiful movie that you can take out time and watch with your child during this
Fantastic.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good insight, Priti. Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, we've established that children also go through anxiety and their routines are disrupted, so they can react in different manners. But what can parents like? How can parents identify if there's anything wrong with the child, or if the child is not uh, emotionally balanced or is experiencing anxiety or stress or any of those symptoms? What kind of signs can a parent look for in their child?
Okay, so at the outset, I like to tell you each and every individual is different,
Hmm.
but broadly, there are five categories to make sure we understand how things work, which can be seen. the book Love Languages beautifully captures it. So when you look at your child, firstly, you need to see if the child is generally more submissive. Is he coming out more? Is he moving very, very fast? Is he talking very fast? So that's something that you need to keep an eye out for. If has he gone into his shell more than he was generally? So, he used to be a quiet person, but is he going into more quiet time? So you need to be wary of this. And in terms of the 5 kind of love languages that I think would help people to figure out how things work. So some people, specifically children, like physical touch. So when that touch is not there, they sometimes don't know how to react. So physically being touched, like hug, kissed, they could maybe come out and say, okay, let's have more of it, or absolutely not engage with that. Then words of affirmation, saying good things to the child, making sure he feels loved, quality time, spending during this time. We also have that aspect of making sure that we need to spend more time. So some children actually relate to more time being spent. So that is very, very
Yeah.
important. Some of us like gifts, rewards, like at the end of a race, you get a gift, you feel happy. And some of us, if you do a certain task for me, when if my mother comes and says, okay, I'll clean your room with you, I'll feel maybe happy. So we need to understand what is it that our child relates to out of these 5. And for example, if it's words of affirmation, so supposing your child comes to you with making a scribbled drawing, you don't say, oh, make a better one next time. You say, oh, this is so nice, what did you think about it, can you explain it? And maybe next time you can make it better, but you need to reaffirm to that child that yes,
Yeah.
you might be stressed, but this is how perhaps you can go about it.
Yeah, so whatever is the usual language of love, if they're
Yeah,
deviating from that, then we
yeah,
know that, okay, this is a challenge. Yeah, fair enough.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. If parents do kind of identify that their child is going through something but is not able to express, for example, you said if the child is too fast in doing something or too withdrawn, or probably usually speaks a lot but is now not so communicative, or usually is quite silent but now is kind of very hyperactive. So if we look at these signs and some parents identify some of these things in their child, then what should they do? Should they talk to the child? Should they intervene in some way? Should they, I mean, what should be the next step?
yeah. So I would suggest, see how your child behaves and how he understands, and also what motivates the child. Right.
Mm,
So on the basis of that, make sure you communicate. Obviously, communication is the best kind of mechanism that is there, adult or child. So obviously, go forward, try to take a conversation to understand. Okay, this is what I feel. We need to make sure that the child doesn't replicate. As a child, there's sometimes instances that okay, the adult is saying you're angry, so I'll replicate angry. Maybe that's not anger, it's sadness. So we don't name the feeling. We ensure the child comes up and names the feeling. So making sure you're able to ask the child how they are feeling. Jennifer Nassif in one of her TED talks has also talked about what motivates your child. So in that you can see, okay, if your child is a person who likes to lead, then through that you can start off a conversation. Okay, why don't you go ahead, help your sibling in doing this certain task, and once you complete it, let's see how we can take the conversation further. So give them tasks that you think they might like to do. And also
mm,
setting goals is very, very important. So as I mentioned earlier, routines is something that the parent needs to take care of once they look at addressing the issue, but also sitting with the child and saying, okay, this is what I feel, what do you feel? Ask the child the question. Obviously, if a child is 3 to 4 years old, they might not be able to articulate it. Maybe they'll say, Ki, nahi, hame to color uthana hai, we just want to do some coloring. But you need to make sure, okay, this is one way of doing it. Let's see how we can do it forward. So try to put routines by setting goals with your child together. So that might be a
okay,
strategy that might help.
excellent, excellent. And we talked about a couple of activities that the parents could do to kind of, alleviate the anxiety. What kind of activities can they do, and could we maybe share an activity that
Yeah.
that the parents can try at home with children,
Uh,
particularly
sure.
focusing on the younger ones because they have more trouble expressing through words. So what kind of activities can we do with them?
Yeah. So one of the activities that I talk about is safe spaces. So since most of our children at this time are talking about what a safe space is, how they can, conquer these safe spaces, one of the activities that we can definitely do with the children is on safe spaces. As you can say, I hope that every child has this space where together the adult and the child is able to create that space. So for the first thing that, since I use drawing as one of the mechanisms, I would suggest the parent also uses this. So make sure your child is able to understand a safe space. To give a prompt, you can ask the child a place where no one can harm you and you can express yourself freely. These are some of the prompts that come out. Some children feel comfortable in their mother's arms. Some children feel comfortable inside their houses. Some in a mystical land. So these can come out in various ways. So for this, you need the materials that you perhaps to start off would be a drawing book or A4 paper, some pencils, some colors, whatever is close by to you. And for to start off, you need to make sure that your child is comfortably seated. So take a place. If your child likes sitting on the ground, make it nice and clear. Get the material. Sit. If your child likes sitting on a table, then make sure the table is cleared. Only the material is there. Make sure they're seated comfortably, and then set expectations. Like in the previous question, I told you that you need to ask the child, okay, what do you think today? I feel that this activity might be a nice play activity that you do. Are you comfortable doing it? It would approximately say take an hour to do the activity. So set expectations with your child about how they'd want to go about it. Then give them about 30 minutes to draw. This activity can be paced according to the child's age and comfort with drawing and communication. So 30 minutes, I would say, for a child who's around 6 to 7 years. For a younger child, might take longer or even lesser time because their attention span is limited. So you can take it at your own child's pace. Then take 10 minutes. Once the child has drawn it, so you've given them a prompt, that a place where you feel no harm. So give them those 30 minutes, let them enjoy themselves. They might be scribbling, they might be drawing something. Let them do whatever they want. It doesn't need to be a perfect drawing, right? Then after that, after they finish drawing, they'll come up to you very excited, hopefully, to show it to you. And as we mentioned, some children like the word of affirmation. So you see the drawing and ask them to describe the drawing. So perhaps it's a house which is very scattered. So only the child knows what it is. So the child can describe the house, and however long, whatever they want. So during the child's description, don't go and asking the child any question. After the child is completed, these are some of the prompts that you can go into. So as ask the child to describe the drawing, then how are they feeling in the drawing? Supposing they've drawn a house where you can't actually see a human being, but they might be feeling something. So they say, "Hame acha lag raha hai," we are feeling nice, we're feeling comforted. A small child just might say, start smiling about it. So see that smile. Then who all are depicted? Supposing it's just a drawing of a house, who all are depicted in the house? So the child can go on to say my mother, my father, my sibling. Then you can ask questions about what are they doing inside the house. You'll also get to understand what the child wants you to do in the house, or what the child is seeing your routine. Supposing you're working, they're saying mother is sitting on the computer just working, father is exercising. So you will be able to understand what the child is feeling. So this could be in terms of a real life situation. They can also draw a mystical character in terms of a favorite character, Superman Manalia. So in that you ask what is the power that this mystical character has. They can say he flies really fast. So it could also mean that the child really wants to do some activity where they really want to jump around. Or they describe the magic. So what is the magical situation that you're feeling? So in this way, the child will obviously be able to describe. You will also be able to understand, okay, what is the child emoting? He might emote it in words or verbal or non-verbal cues. So just be very wary of what the child is non-verbally saying, and then build on. So if you know you have a good rapport with your child, I think that should be easier. So after the activity is done, some of the things for you to reflect is, how am I able to understand the child's emotion in this nurturing environment? Have I been able to make my child feel safe? Is the child feeling safe? For example, if there's an image where he's not feeling safe, so then you need to really intervene and understand why the child is not feeling safe, not meeting his friends, for example. Then if they're anxious, then you probe. If they, scribble in a certain way and say, okay, we are safe here, but we don't get to meet our friends. We wish we were meeting our friends. Why are they anxious? Can you perhaps do a Zoom call to get the friends to have some conversations together? So you understand the challenges the child is facing, the emotional needs of the child, and at the end of it, obviously, hope to ensure that attitude and a positive well-being environment is created. So through it, this activity, which could take you around an hour, you can also take this forward into making it into a project later on. But initially, this would be a starting point for you to engage with your child.
Yeah. Excellent. This is fantastic. I think this is absolutely doable, especially with the younger kids. And I'm sure you have strategies for, the adolescents, the older kids and the adolescents. Perhaps we could talk about it another time. But I have a question for you that in case somebody feels that they would like to kind of do an organized activity, would you be open to conducting something of that sort online for the children?
Definitely. So in fact, I have some details here in terms of what is the activity and how I go about activities. So I conduct customized activities for children according to their age group and according to the needs identified with the parents. So we talk about emotions, we talk about rights, we also talk about the self-awareness of the child. And obviously most of the activities are done through art, some are communicated. So these are the ways that we can do the activities. It's a 10 model intervention. So minimum of 10 sessions to make sure that the child starts engaging. And then depending on where the child is, how old they are, we can obviously take it forward accordingly.
Excellent, Riti, because why I ask is while there's a lot of online storytelling and a lot of online summer camps going on Instagram and Facebook Live and YouTube Live and all of that, I just see that there needs to be it's a more passive way of engaging children, like they're watching the stories or they're hearing the stories or they're looking at activities, but I'm not sure if parents are able to at this point of time engage children in something that actually lets them express themselves. So this will be a very good, I mean, at least the activity that you shared they could try, and if any of the parents feel like they need to reach out and do more, then they could certainly get in touch with you and get more kind of
Definitely. In
support.
fact, a lot of us like kinesthetic skills to be built in
Yeah,
first,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So this activity ensures that you actually use your hands
yeah,
irrespective of how and what you come out with. So if, for
yeah.
example, a parent is able to get some mud into the house, we can create
Mm,
something with the child through the mud, right?
mm,
So it's not exactly about what the product is created, but how the
mm,
child is able to see what is coming out of the product, is able to tell the adult what they are feeling about how they are doing certain things. Like when I have engaged with children, as I mentioned earlier, lots of children say anger,
mm,
see their parents and jump around looking at it as anger, but actually it could be very much because of a very sad instance that's going on in their mind.
mm.
So the child doesn't even know how to differentiate between anger and sadness at certain ages. So these
Yeah.
activities can obviously help them identify, okay, am I feeling angry? Am I feeling sad? But when I actually interacted with a lot of children, around 50 to 60 of them,
Mm-hmm.
uh, almost say 98% of them could only say acha and bura. I'm feeling happy and I'm feeling bad, good and
Yeah.
bad. They couldn't go and
Yeah.
name their feelings. So it's very
Yeah.
important that a child understands that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can totally relate to that because as part of our socio-emotional learning programs, that we work with government school children as well as even teachers from private schools. But in all of my workshops, consistently, in the first question that we ask as to how are you feeling right now, we feel good, we feel bad, we feel fine. Good, bad, and fine are the three words that come out. In fact, in all of my workshops, after the first question, I ban those three words. I say no good, no bad, and no fine. Find other words to describe how you're feeling. And yeah, I can a lot of adults also are not able to go beyond that because we don't really sit and reflect and do all of that. So yeah, I completely understand the relevance of that, particularly for children, because at least we have our words,
Definitely.
other words to express how we are feeling. It's
Definitely.
not
In fact, if it's not engaged at the right time, even when, like you mentioned, and as we grow up, uh,
yeah.
sadly we are in a world where abuse is very rampant, right? So if they don't know about these feelings, if they are getting touched in a certain way, they don't even know how to express that, because they don't know what they're actually feeling about it. So it's
Yeah,
not just in these times, but even in the larger context, the child needs to know what the feeling is. Yeah.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely. That's fantastic, Riti. I'm really, really glad that you came on here on the video and helped us put this information together for parents. And I'm really, really hopeful that parents are going to find this really useful and they're going to definitely try the activities.
Great. That would be great. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me. It was
I,
wonderful talking to you.